It's just a blinding billion. Ah!
Hey!
Hey!
And now you got the dogs all excited. They're such idiots. Dogs are so dumb.
The way the light's shining, and the door just opens up, and it's just this like brilliant beaming light, and you just appear.
I just came in
like a dream.
Yeah, this is the good place. Having started St. John's and rereading, or I don't know if I ever read Plato or Aristotle. But I think I've read. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Played with Plato.
Different, spelled differently. Rewatching The Good Place, and it is such a good show, and the episodes are so short. You can basically finish a season in like a long afternoon.
Yes.
So I basically finished rewatching the entire series in like a week.
It's like 3 seasons, 4 seasons.
4, yeah. Yeah, and it's super simple. But it's really kind of interesting. Especially the last season, they really touch upon some basic tenets of sort of classical philosophy and. Yeah, it was really kind of cool, and to see it echoing in some of the stuff we were reading in Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics, which I because I couldn't help myself, I sent you a question. I was curious, about the. I noticed the inception of the Committed Club, and I liked it, and I was. I was like, well, what's this all about? Like, I mean, I know we had talked about it. I think. So I remember I tried to implement it when I was here. It was like, it might've been like Allie, Steph, Chad, Sue, Drew, Joan, maybe Joan. I don't even know if Joan was, I think she had started, Ron Katz, my next door neighbor.
Right.
And I did it. Like I sent like a monthly summary or a monthly snapshot of like everyone's attendance, and like everybody was in like the 20s, except for Ron. He had like 9.
I remember. I feel like.
And Allie texts me and she goes, "Dude, what the Ron shaming much or something?" Like she's like, "God, rough." He didn't come back the next month.
Oops.
And I was like, ooh, bad implementation, buddy. So openly, I am sorry. Like, I apologize, Ron, if you're listening, because he listens to this. He's
good.
We're back. We called all of our listeners of we had maybe 15, 20 consistent listeners. We're down to now like 2, but we'll build it back up, right?
No, we're not down to 2. We're starting with 2.
We're up to 2.
2,
and neither of them are our moms.
Right, that's correct.
Sorry. Poke that wound.
Definitely not my mom.
Yeah. But anyway, so when I saw, to bring it all back around, when I saw you instituting and executing on the Committed Club, I went, it's kind of cool. So I'm like, I'm new. I've never done this CrossFitness thing before, and I'm real excited about getting all the fitting in and all the fitness.
Okay.
So tell me about it. What the hell is it?
Well, I'm going to start. I'm going to paint you a picture. Let's pretend like we're standing in the gym right now. You dropped in. You're checking it out.
I'm in a gym.
It's this big, but Fairwinds. You're in Fairwinds.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Cool. I'm like, yes. Hi, welcome Fairwinds, and we do all the good stuff, and that big, beautiful, all that artwork on the wall, that big giant anchor, and underneath is those 3 words. Do you remember? Can you read them for me?
Docile, deliberate, and Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay. Well, on top of, as soon as you're done here, I'm going to need you to go to your local eye doctor. I need to get those eyes checked. Be curious, be consistent, be courageous. Check.
Oh, bees. That's right.
Three
Bees.
B's. That's where they're like,
The three B's.
like, oh, Eric, the three C's. No, it's the three B's. Bees. So yes, be consistent. And we would talk all the time about that. Really, and we've talked about this, whether it's like CrossFit programming or it's a gym or it's even if it's not CrossFit, it's spinning or yoga. Like the key is the only program that works is the one that you will consistently do. Am I correct or am I correct?
And am I right or am I right?
Now, if I did my job well, you have chosen CrossFit right here at Fairwinds, and nowhere else. And so, really, if you're going to get the bang for your buck and get the results that you desire, you've got to be consistent. You've got to show up, and the CrossFit prescription's 3 days on, 1 day off. But then also, I wanted to make sure that we started the committed club. And if you show up 14 times over the course of the month, so 14 classes over the course of a month, you have entered the committed club. You get a nice little shout out on social media. And if you make the committed club that month, all the names that are in there, I make a nice little drawing, and some random person from the committed club that month wins a prize. So last month, Kate Brew, we drew her, and she got a $25 gift card to Starbucks. Good on her. And then what we'll do is every quarter, we'll do one big drawing. So if you got your name in the drawing, if you made the committed club for all 3 months of that quarter, you now have your name in the pot 3 times.
Oh, cool.
Now we're talking a little bit bigger. So maybe, okay, I'm going to do a drawing at the end of March, and the winner gets a massage from Mobile Performance Therapy. So a little bit bigger pot. Over the course of the year, if you make the committed club 10 times, then you will be entered in a drawing at the end of the year to have, right now, $500 taken off of your membership to start the new year.
So why 14? Where's 14 come from?
So 14, and I'm excited to talk about this a little bit more. But 14,
you are? That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So because you brought, well, I don't want to spoil it, but you came with a great thought and one of those great thinkers you were talking about and the idea behind it. So we have classes 6 times a week. So we have 6 days a week. We're closed on Sunday. And I was thinking about what's a good number that's like, what's the bare minimum that someone could make, but also what's a little bit harder than that, and try to avoid going too much that someone tries to do too much. And so the idea behind 14 is like, okay, bare minimum, if you make class 3 times a week, you're kind of getting the bare minimum. You're getting your money's worth, this and that, but are you really getting the results that you desire out of 3 days a week? Maybe.
Right. You're going to get 3 days a week results.
Right. And then I thought maybe 16 would be good, like a 16. So that's 4 classes a week. And that's kind of a sweet spot. Well, I want to take into account, well, sometimes people go on vacation. Sometimes people take long weekends. Sometimes life gets a little crazy. And maybe they can't make 4 days 1 week, or maybe they can't make 4 days 1 week. And then they're halfway through the month, and now they're trying to squeeze in 5 to 6 workouts over the course of the week, which some people can handle. But I think for a lot of people, that might be too much. And I wanted to avoid the risk of they're trying to get that committed club so bad that they are
at the expense of their actual fitness.
Right. And so are they doing too much and they burn themselves out? Are they doing too much and now they get hurt? And so 14 seemed like a sweet spot where it's okay, bare minimum, you make 3 days a week and you throw in a 4th day, 1 week here and 1 week here. So maybe you make it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you're able to throw in a Saturday that week. And so it seemed like it was attainable. It seemed like a sweet enough number that you are going to get good results by making a minimum of 14 a month, but it's not so much that it's unattainable that if you were to go away for a week, you can still make 14 over the course of the month. And so that was the idea. So it seemed like the sweet spot for a gym that's open 6 days a week and make sure that no one burns themselves out at the end of it. That seems so far so good. Like more than half have made the committed club.
That's going to be my next question. So you're tracking so about 50% of your membership made the committed club, which if you were to convey that back to sort of like any other buy membership type of class offering whatever, that you're getting an over a 50% participation rate consistently across the month.
Exactly.
That's ridiculous. That in the sense of like, that's awesome.
Because think about it too, like ideally you're trying to, because we talked about this before, when, you know, what's kind of the sweet spot for like attendance, your percentage of membership attended per day. And if you can get 50% or over, you're having a pretty good day, right?
Yeah, totally. Yep.
So if 15, you know, if more than 50% are making it, you know, 14 classes, you know, and it's nice, it spreads out. And it's still, one thing I liked about it too is Thursdays, you know, International Rest Day in the world of CrossFit affiliates, always slower. What I do is like, it does tend to drive people to make sure, like, maybe Thursday's normally their rest day, but they
pick up yeah.
So it does. There are people that come in like, I normally take off Thursdays, but I got to get my 14 this month. Boom, awesome, glad you made it. And
so I got a couple like devil's advocate questions for you, or kind of like you know, pull the curtain back and show us kind of all the icky, gross, you know, business stuff. So, and just so, you know, full transparency, like I know how the fucking sausage is made. So this question is,
I like this. No, like,
you know what I mean? Like,
probably, yeah.
So what's the unintended, but yet very much intended, not so much consequence, but benefit to you, right? Everything you just said, totally agree with 100%. But it's all the win for the, it's all prefaced or kind of structured and said in a way from a perspective that it's benefiting the client and the athlete.
How does it benefit? Is the
right? Because in the end, if it's to be sustainable, it has to be a win-win. Right. You got to benefit, and AKA Fairwinds has to benefit, and the athlete, the client. So how does it benefit you? And then on that same token, I'm curious how it also benefits the athlete.
So, but I mean, I'll start with the athlete. Like, I mean, arguably, if you're
no, you gotta do you first, because you already did the athlete. So, gotta go back and forth.
So, well, I'll say the first benefit is that I get to see everyone more consistent.
we all know that is like crack cocaine for you.
Yes, I get to see everybody. I feel, if I don't see someone for a week, it feels like a month.
Why don't you love me anymore?
It's just, I think we initially had if someone didn't show up, if someone didn't attend class, we get pinged like at 2 weeks, and we'd be like, oh, let's check in and see how. So that's 1 week now. They get 1 week of missing before they hear from me, and you know, usually it's just like, oh, they went on vacation or they had to travel for work, and it's like, yeah, well, good. So you do still love me, though, is what you're telling me,
right?
But from a business standpoint, I mean, I think, you know, you found it, you know, over the course of years, it's not so much getting people in the gym, it's getting people to stay. And so retention is such a big part of this business. And, you know, there's a saying, it costs twice as much to bring a new person in than it does to keep somebody there. And so the idea is that if someone is showing up 14 times a month, at least, they are seeing the results, they are feeling good, and they are recognizing the benefits to this. Plus, again, you know, they get to see their friends. There's a community aspect of it. There's the connection that, you know, we make as the coach of the athlete, that, you know, that investment really feels like it's paying off and then some. And so what better way to help keep retention, help people feel like that this is where they need to be in the long term, and not it be like when things get tight or life gets busy that it makes the chopping block, as it does so often. You know, the gym feels like it can feel like a luxury as opposed to a necessity. And I think you and I both agree that the gym should be a necessity in people's lives. It's such an important part to your happiness.
Yeah, well, I mean, totally, like that. Yeah, that's exactly. And it's, I like the way you say that too, of that calculus is made by individuals, by people, often at a time when they're emotionally biased. And so they don't even know it most times, that they're making their determination on sort of qualitative value, that they, you know, they're trying to equate, is the return on my investment equitable? And it's seldom actual quantitative a money issue.
Right.
It's a qualitative value return. And so you framing it like that, that if you only come 2 days a week, you're going to get 2 day a week results, and you're going to see the value of that membership as, well, it's not really making that big of a difference. I mean, if I take a couple months off, versus the person who's coming 4 days a week, which I totally agree with you. 4 days a week is the sweet spot
if you can make
99% of the population, especially if they're going at relative intensity, a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, take Wednesday completely off, do something, go for a hike, be active Saturday or Sunday. You are going to be and eat meat, vegetables, nuts, seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar, right? Like sleep 7 to 8 hours a day. Don't be an asshole. Hey, you got
that should be in like they should add those three words. Don't be an asshole.
I'm telling you, man, it makes total. It makes right, because it's like, if I'm not stressed out and I'm not making other people stressed out by being an asshole, then they generally aren't stressed out in my breath, right? So 9 times out of 10, being a nicer person makes you and everybody around you feel better. It's phenomenal.
It's so true.
And if you've slept 7 to 8 hours a day for about a year,
hours a day, there's not 78 hours in a day.
There is in my universe, my friend.
Your day is 7 days long.
Anyway, the 4 day a week and even 3 day a week, somebody's going to have a tough time walking away from the value that you offer them. But 4 day a week, you're exactly right. They're going to go, there's no way. I'll just cut out Uncle Joe from the basement and stop paying his, or whatever it is. But they're going to make a choice around something that feels less valuable in that moment of like, crap, I gotta, like you said, eggs. They're just not going to buy eggs this month. So, which I do not understand how those things happen. I was at Sam's Club Sunday. Did I do my whatever day I did my grocery? There is like and I know, like, I get it. We're America, Western, like the convenience and the opulence that I get to have by having a refrigerator case the size of my van full of eggs is costing somebody in Egypt like their life. Like, and I hope not. I hope that's not the case.
Yeah, like
but there are so many eggs. Like, it's ridiculous. And they were $7 for 18. So I mean, by the way, like the person who's listening to this, the two people that are listening to this, they just went, you turned it around. They're on their way to Sam's Club. Like,
the guy in Egypt, $7.
Yes,
that's all I'm worth.
That's all I'm worth. Anyway, I digress. The value that adds, I think that's the win-win. And for you as the business, I think the unintended or the behind the scenes aspect that athlete or that client gets as a return on their investment is by them staying and you retaining them as a business revenue point or business revenue aspect.
I got eggs to buy.
well, I just think you can return that value back into the gym when it comes time to replace barbells, bumper plates, and you can plan for like those types of things. And so it's like, and the part that they, I think, oftentimes don't understand is that in that reciprocity of value between the institution or the business and the person paying for the service is you can return the quality of the product and continue to upgrade it by training your coaches, by you bringing on another coach, and you have more time to build into the business. And so it's that consistency of revenue in the form of a client who consistently stays, has that like constant feedback loop of pleasure and happiness. They get the results that they want based on the value and price point that they're paying. You can plan for consistent and sustainable revenue, which provides a platform and a place for all of that to happen.
Mhm.
And then the infrastructure and sort of that ecosystem starts to just sustain itself. And who's coming in? A child. You have a child coming in. I thought it was just that it fell off.
You want to say hi?
That's awesome.
Jackman, you want to say hi to Jack? Hello. Say hi.
Oh, he's talking now. What's up, dude? He's like,
He's got some hot chocolate.
I recognize that guy, I think, but I don't know.
This was Fee's when she was teeny tiny.
I like it. Dirty deeds done dirt cheap.
ACDC?
That's not ACDC, is it? That is ACDC.
Yes.
That's ACDC.
ACDC.
They look like Kiss, though.
That's right. ACDC. You're learning your alphabet. Yeah,
But anyway, so I'm and in all, I think that the committed club as sort of a, why did you start that in January? Was it something like, where did that come from? Had you been thinking about it a while? Did the best hour of the day best hour of the day boys kind of kick you in that direction? Where'd it come from?
Yeah, so I had heard about it from this is a big deal.
Oh. I don't like 4 either. I always skip 4.
Nice job, buddy. All right, go get mommy, okay? Go on, go get mommy. Oh, put your feet down. Where are you going? Put your feet down. No, you're going. He's going boneless. You good? So we heard about it. I heard about it from a while back. I think it was CrossFit Roots does their committed club, and I think it's like if you attend like 225 over the course of a year, you get put in a drawing, and you win a free membership or something like that. But then, and then Best Hour, that's something Best Hour push was, having a committed club, because again, for the purpose of retention and the purpose of buy-in from your athletes. And so that was a big one. So I actually started in December. I was getting to the point where it's like, I could wait to the new year or I could just get it done. And sometimes I think I overthink it, and I've, wait for perfection. And I wait for the right time. And I think just like anything, sometimes it's like, just get it started, get going, and then see what happens from there. So it was in November, and I was like, we're just going to start in December and go from there. And it was great. And it was, people really kind of bought into it. And now it is that checking in, like people make sure, if anything, what I love too, is it's helped encourage people more to sign in before class, reserve a spot.
Look at these little ancillary benefits.
Right. Because like, hey, like, I'm never going to kick someone out if they don't sign up. If we have a full class and someone shows up and it's, as much as I could make the rule, like, if class is full, you have to come later. But if they have to show up, I'm not going to kick them out. Like, but
I would.
Yeah, I think it's I can't do it. And but then what it does, it does help the coach. And I thought about it too, as I'm bringing on new coaches. Man, doesn't it help them to know that they actually are going to have 10 people in class, not 2 people sign up and then 10 show up. And so it helps from that end. And so I thought that was another little win right there, is that we can have a little bit more predictability when it comes to how many people are actually going to be in class. So in long story short, I've heard about it before. Best Hour, that's one of their, through the Best Hour, year-long curriculum. A committed club is something that they encourage for all the reasons that we've talked about.
Yeah. So devil's advocate question, where is there room to, if I'm someone who like, let's say Drew and I decided to become a Fairwinds member, but I got this, and so I really only want to come like once or twice a week to the actual gym, just because my schedule or like whatever. but I'm on SugarWOD. I follow your programming. I log. I'm paying my monthly membership. Am I eligible for the committed club if I log my workouts, but I'm not physically coming to class?
So right now the answer is no. Like, it is about showing up to the gym. And part of my reasoning behind that is, and I know, stuff comes up, but it's, actually, I feel like you're one of the exceptions to the rule, but most people will never work as hard as they do when they're with a group, and they won't give it the effort that it deserves. When it like I know you prefer by yourself. I feel like, for the most part, like, you're better that way. I am not.
Don't fucking cheer for me. I don't want you cheering for me.
Which, guys, like, I think we'll put it out there, because I've told this people before. As much as CrossFit loves to post that picture of the one person finishing with everyone standing around, nobody actually wants that. Like,
get the hell away from me.
It feels like one of the worst. Like, I get it. You're trying to show, like, community support, but, like, if I'm, like, new and I'm like, oh, I will probably be that person. I don't want to be that person. But all the more reason. So there is benefit to actually being in the gym and being with the community and being a part of it. And down the line, we also, we have the Off the Creek program, which is basically just included in the membership. It's just there. People have access to it and they go. If I decided to charge for that, maybe it's an additional $15 a month, and now you have access to Off the Creek. Well, then maybe with that, in turn, I'll say, if you're logging your workouts, off the Creek, because you are paying for that, maybe that's something that's worth saying. Well, if you're doing them somewhere, then maybe that counts as the committed club. But is
there room to because my pushback on that is, if the benefit for which it was kind of pitched initially in this conversation as the benefit to the athlete is that we know that the results come, and I hear that the optimal version of this is in a coached class under the supervision of the professional coach in the community of your peers at the gym. But if I'm still doing something and I'm doing it 3 to 5 days a week, but I'm just not going to be able to make it to the gym, then that is a option that is never available to me at Fairwinds CrossFit. So in a sense, it's sort of like, well, then the rationale behind it of, the consistency is where you'll see the return on your investment of the value over time seems to get a hole poked in it. Does that, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? So, and look, dude, I'm totally like, this is what makes devil's advocate difficult.
You're not the first person to ask.
Your rationale is 100% legitimate.
Yeah. It's
just that it's that conversation of, hey, things are always under evaluation, open for reassessment, blah, 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 blah. You've done it for 1 month or 2 months, right? You said it was just, right. So everyone take a breath.
Yeah.
It'll be okay. Kate got a Starbucks gift card.
Yeah. Like,
or whatever, you know what I mean?
So, like, if you are, and this is where I kind of go, like, I not to downplay the program of the committed club, but in the long run, you are getting the benefits. If you're working out 3 to 5 times a week at home, you are getting the benefits that are the purpose of committed club. There are a lot of people there are plenty of people that, like, well, they don't need the committed club. They come anyway. Right. But it's just a nice, okay, cool. I might win a couple free, free coffee here or there. Cool. And so that's where, if I were to say, like, hey, if you have no problem getting workouts in 3 to 5 days a week, then do you want the recognition? Because I'll make sure that I'll give you a shout out, like, hey, awesome, great job, Jack. Like, it's really cool seeing you're still getting your workout. Mike Batista is a perfect example. Like, his life is right now, and he's he only got a handful of workouts in last month, but he's still very much a member of the gym. And when he comes in, everyone gets excited to see him because it's Mike. but he's he's getting the benefits of it, and he might, unfortunately, yeah, he's probably losing out on the opportunity for a Starbucks gift card. But also, is he the person that the committed club is really driven for? So there's the side of it is there are people that they kind of need that extra little push to help hold them accountable. And so really maybe that's what that's what that's there for. Is
Yeah.
to
No, and your retort is still as sound. Like I totally like I said, I'm playing devil's advocate artificially. Like I think it's a great
I'm never
everyone
happy too. Like I said, this one, it's right. Like, so there's a person like, well, I can only make it to the gym 2 days a week. That's a drag, but I'm, looking forward to seeing you, on Sugar Wild and when you do get into class. And then there's gonna be people like, well, I go to, Barbados for like 2 months out of the year. So that's really going to make it close for me not to be able to be eligible for that, $500 at the end of the year. Right. It's like, yeah, I know I really hope you enjoy your vacation though, because you're going to look awesome on the beach.
Right.
If you're making it every time.
Well, and this also, it's the ancillary, right? So it's that, my attempt, be less of an asshole. What a great opportunity rather than to look at the person and say, are you fucking kidding me? Like you go to Barbados for 2 months out of the year and you're talking to me about statistically, you have zero chance of winning this $500, right? Like buy the fucking mega jackpot Powerball ticket, whatever. That's all happening in here. Inside voice. I love that. I keep that in my bubble. I keep that in my inside bubble. Instead, maybe you look at it and you say, what a great opportunity to ask this person the next question. And to say that we'll talk, I hope this is not a real person that's going to Barbados. Then they're listening right now like, hi, that's me. Is it Mickey? It's Mickey, isn't it?
No, it's not Mickey. Mickey needs to get his butt in. I will say that. So Mickey, if you're listening.
But so that's the question. That's the next question that comes to my mind is like, hey, I hear you. It stinks. Hey, look, this is the program the way it is right now. Maybe we'll reassess it. I appreciate your feedback. More importantly, are you having trouble finding the motivation to stay consistent and get yourself 4 to 5 days of intensity with the way things are structured right now? And if so, is that a problem that I can help you fix in a different way that is more individualized for you?
Yeah.
Barbados person. So like that's and it's a 5 to 10 minute conversation and an opportunity to connect with this person and show them, well, I would say to show them like, look, your value to me is not just a dollar sign. It truly is your well-being and longevity and health. And I'm here. I'm standing in front of you. We're talking on the phone. We're going back and forth on text, whatever it is. But the simple fact is, you hitched your wagon to this train, dude. You're on team Fairwinds. Like, let's fucking make it work.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because I think because that's, again, if dig deep into the why behind the committed club is to make sure that people, to give some sort of push into getting them there more consistently. And so if that's something that you need but you can't make it, then what do we need? Then what do you need? What do we need to do to make sure you get there?
Exactly.
You get those workouts in.
Yeah.
Because it's, I wanted to make clear too, like it's not like because also like how can I actually prove that you did that workout from home, right? Like, and that's not really. Someone
asked. Who cares?
That, like, did you actually do a 12-minute AMRAP of this and that? And
so I would push back on that even more. So we've been following street parking. When I knew I was phasing out from Fairwinds last year, it's about this time actually. I pitched to Nicole. I said, let's try street parking. I love Miranda. I think the program she's got going, it's super easy. The interface is awesome. I think they're one of the best in the biz that came out of the pandemic with super robust online,
Yeah.
virtual stuff.
They seem to be the standard for the most part, from like talking to people that have done it, is if you're going to do it from home and you want like the best experience, seems like street parking has been money.
So it is exactly what it is advertised. Their ability to deliver on what they promise is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I will tell you, as a CrossFitter who's been doing this for almost just over a decade, it is kind of the same all the time. But that's sort of their MO, because they are exactly the opposite of what you were just expressing as a concern for the committed club. They don't give a shit if it's a 13-minute AMRAP and it's dumbbell stepovers, wall walks, and wall balls or something like that. And you do a 9-minute AMRAP of burpees and pull-ups, but you log it on the day under that work. Awesome.
Yeah.
Like it does not matter if you use a sandbag, if you use your dog, if you use, what, even to the point when she was in that interview, when Miranda was recently in that interview with Boz.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't even know the height of my wall ball target.
Yeah.
Right. Mine is 9.78 inches. This one there's one right here, and then there's one over here that you can't quite see, just in case you were concerned. So if I ever do a 10-foot wall ball and I mark it RX, you can call me out on that's bullshit.
Andrew, I'm gonna go and tag Andrew Hiller in this. Make sure.
I would have to pull up the matting to get the 10-foot distance to the wall ball target, because it's 3/4 inch, and so that would give me the 10 feet.
Perfect.
But so their take on it, and this was kind of more of the genesis of this question, not totally, but as I was thinking this through and we were going back and forth on texts, isn't it more important if you are driving somebody towards habituation of a behavior that will lead to a more virtuous and pleasurable state of existence, and thus in that movement of the person increase their happiness, but they have to start the habit with something that is sustainable and replicable, and then leads to the next thing? Isn't it more important that them just making that first step of logging something, and then just coming, and then actually maybe doing a movement, still scale, but like get them the wins as early and as much as possible? So like you said, how do I know you really did that 12-minute? I don't give a shit.
I don't care.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And so that was my only pushback of it.
Yeah.
Until it comes time for the open.
It'll show. Like it'll take it. It's funny. Like it'll take care of itself. I'm not that afraid. And well, that's kind of going to like getting the small wins, and then that will help lead toward making this much more habitual and repeatable and all that. It's also part of the reason too, where when I thought of the number of 14 and I didn't 16 seemed like a good number. What I wanted to make sure is I felt like a right number too, where it's not an everyone gets a participation trophy, number, but it's not a number that, like, if people miss it a few times, now it's almost like maybe if they weren't even that invested in the committed club themselves, but then they keep seeing like people are getting shout outs, and they keep just missing it, that ends up being this kind of like kick in the butt to where it actually like now is a much more like losing. And I wanted to make sure like that number was a number that like you can, if you don't have to try too hard to get 14. But if it was a number that was like 18, you can see a lot of people missing, and then it's actually really, maybe they're getting 14 plus classes a week, maybe they're getting 17 or a month, maybe they're getting 17, but they keep missing that mark. And now unintentionally I've created this thing that feels like a loss. That's the last
Right.
one.
No, I think 16. I think no 14. Sorry, I think 14 was the sweet spot. And again, to nerd out, the golden mean. That sort of it's if you'd pick 12, it doesn't move the needle enough. 14 hurts just enough in your schedule.
Yeah.
And I think you nailed it at the beginning too, where you said, it's a rough week. I only make it 2 days. The next day I got to pick up, I'm down, a day and a half in my average. So the next day, the next week, I got to go 4 or 5 to get back on track.
Yeah.
5 is not too much.
Right.
4 is perfect. And
Right.
even if I go 4 the next 3 weeks in a row,
you're good.
Hey,
yeah.
I'm good to go. And I'm probably getting more benefit. I'm getting more bang for my buck anyway. And so I look like, even if I go 2-2-2, well, now it's impossible.
Right.
So I guess, yeah. So, but that's okay, because then you can actually say to somebody, and I agree with you. It gives them that little motivation, a little kick in the butt. But again, more importantly, it's an opportunity to have a conversation. Maybe their normal class coach recognizes like, hey man, what's going on? Well, I got this and 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 the kids got sick and I couldn't make it. And it's like, I gotcha. Hey, I also noticed you weren't logging anything.
Right.
I know you wouldn't be eligible for the committed club, but you got a dumbbell at home. You got something. You want me to kick you a text with check on Instagram. You got dad wad posts, daily things. You could do push-ups, sit-ups, and jumping air squats for 15 minutes. In between that meeting that you had or whatever. Like, there's always that opportunity for the next conversation about their habituation of an active lifestyle that has incorporated some sort of movement practice that you, the coach, are the person other than them themselves until they become the most important or the most invested person in it. You're the most important person, or you're the most invested person in the habituation of that practice into their life.
Yeah, big time. And that's and again, kind of going back to where it kind of, I guess it serves me and them at the same time, from where when I look at the report for the month and I go down the list of everyone that I find, like, I don't just look, I have the list of everyone that showed up that month. And if I see, all right, yeah, here's Sam who made it 20 times, but here's I don't want to call anyone out, but here's Sally. Sally's a classic one. Let's use the classic CrossFitter named Sally at the gym.
Yeah.
Sally only has 8. And so now, like, yes, I get to celebrate this, but now I'm also, hey, Sally, you only made 8. Now there's that time for that deeper conversation. Whereas if I wasn't doing this, that person could get, like, the way my brain works, that person could get lost in the shuffle.
Yep.
Which is the last thing I want anyone to do. And so it really is like an intentional, and I'm checking that report every week to see how people are doing. Halfway through, shout out, hey guys, some of you are almost there. Some of you might need to pick up an extra class. And then I can also see who's not showing up, get with them, and go from there. So really it is you're absolutely right, where it's like, until they're, this person that they're going to make the committed club every single month until the day they die. I am the most invested in getting them to the gym, because I see it every week and I'm going to be checking in on them.
Yeah. And as you were talking too about that, I thought it also, so here's the question, and I'll give you my answer to my own question and then let you. So long-term, you talked about it's, gym retention, revenue of the business. There's that acronym, average client value, ACV, average client. Yeah. All the icky number stuff that people like to think like, oh, my business. Well, fuck, if your business owner isn't thinking about that, like, go to a different business, because it ain't going to be in business much longer. But I think about it too. Like, all right, well, how's it become win-win? You just did it. You just said it. You check in it weekly, but you're doing the, quarterly or semi-annual, athlete check-ins, or, and maybe not, maybe it's on a as need basis or whatever. Person comes in and is like, you've done 2 with them over the course of, maybe a year, 2 years, or whatever. And they've always said, I really want to get a pull up. I really want to get a pull up. I really want to get a pull up. And you're like, cool. How's that going right now? Well, still working on it, blah, blah. And you look at their, that one of those metrics of they consistently come 10 times a month.
Yeah.
And you go, you only come 10 times a month and you say you want this thing, but your behavior suggests you don't. And I'm not your therapist. I'm not your psychologist. I'm not, right? I'm not even qualified to dig into any of that. But I am a student of behavior, and what you're saying ain't what you're doing.
Right.
So you want to tell me about that? Like, because look, CrossFit's magic. I mean, it's all over the .com stuff. I mean,
it's magic,
right? Yeah, it's magic. It ain't fucking magic. You got to do the work.
Right.
And the way you do the work,
show
do
up.
the fucking work. Like, that's it. So for 6 months, you've been telling me you want this, but you don't show up.
Yeah.
I can't help you. Like, that's not true. I can help you. I want to help you. You just got to meet me, not even halfway. Just show up.
Just meet me at the gym. How's that sound?
Yeah, that's it. Like, and
I mean, do anything. Just show up. Don't even worry about. Don't even worry about the work.
That aspect to me it's such a great non-combative confrontation point that allows the bias of, look, throw all the excuses you want. It was a rough couple months. I can't do that. Like, I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
Meet me at the Committed Club. You've got an infrastructure and a system in place to solve a problem that people maybe feel is insurmountable. You got a system in place. Yeah. Just get the Committed Club for the next 3 months, and I will make you the bet that you will see the results that you have been asking for. Yeah. If that's not the case at the end of those 3 months, maybe I kick you back, your last month's thing, and you go a different direction or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying implement that, but like that's sort of a.
Now it's a maybe, all right, well, maybe we need to look, you're not any closer to that pull-up. Maybe we need to dig a little bit deeper, and here's some extra work for you to do on your pull-up. And so maybe I need
better. Yeah. But at least we removed a variable that it's not a matter of participation and consistency anymore. There's something else going on.
Yeah. That needs a little extra attention. And now
they're going to get it. That's the thing. Like, it happens once, it's magic. It happens 100 times, that's pretty cool. It happens 1,000,000 times or 100,000 times across 15,000 affiliates around the world.
Yeah,
it ain't magic. It's the fucking method. It's process. That's it. It's just, it works.
It's proven.
So that would be, if that was my question, I answered my own question. Is there anything else? Is there something you see it dovetailing or leading into for you?
In any particular, not necessarily. I think retention was the big thing, and retention not just from like if they get a prize if there's a chance to get a prize at the end of each month, they'll stick around. But it is that connection with the athletes, not just for me, but for the coaches as well, because that's such an important part. And then I think as newer coaches come on, it does start to, I guess the big thing is what I said at the beginning was, not to sound cliche, but this is an hour in their day that becomes this non-negotiable. And so if they're making the Committed Club, then they are likely seeing the results, and they are feeling good, and they are feeling happy. And the thought of this not being in their life is silliness. It's one of those things. It's like, it's not a question. And so that's such an important thing for me is that this becomes this thing that they find so much happiness in that they can't imagine it not being part of their day.
I like the way you say that.
And so not, from a performance standpoint, yes, performance will come from a physical standpoint of how they might look and all that. That's a byproduct. I want them to be happy. And I guarantee if you make this a non-negotiable in your day or your week in your life, you will be a much happier person than if it's not.
I really like the way you say that. It sounds very similar to the Whole30 approach when they used to have Whole9, which I don't think really exists anymore. I think most of Urban shut that site down, maybe. Yeah. But the reason they put so much effort into nutrition, there were 9 sort of health components, and I don't remember all 9 of them. Nutrition was just one of the 9.
Air squat, front squat.
Right? Did they steal 9 from somewhere? Maybe. But the reason they focused on nutrition was because it was the Archimedean level or Archimedean lever, right? Like Archimedes had a theory that you give him, a pole long enough and a lever in the right spot, he could lift the earth. And so the idea that it's just physics and it's just forces and actions. And so nutrition for many people is that, and a Whole30 is that Archimedean, anyway, and I'm probably wrong. I'm probably remembering it incorrectly, but it's a thing to push on that has so many downstream positive effects. What you described, did you? Oh, you look like you froze. You were listening so intently. What you described is such a cool goal of the gym, and you said it when you said it as it's the non-negotiable hour, which is back a defense, sort of a defense of, yes, we can make the committed club if all you do is log and sugar wad, but there's something to the physical presence of having to come in and show up to class, because you can't fake showing up. Oh, no. And not that somebody would fake the workout, but no. We haven't figured out a way to clone ourselves or to beam in. So you have to come. And because you have to come, you have to carve out 30 minutes on the front end and 30 minutes on the back end. So you have to plan your whole day actually around about an hour and a half to 2 hours of time that is non-negotiable for you. And that's an anomaly in the world a lot, because there's so many other draws and sucks on our time that are not healthy and not innately looking out for your best interest. Yeah. This is innately looking out for the athlete's best interest. And then that goes on like, oh, what about like even dinner, spending time with your family, like all those other things of like, holy shit, for me to be able to do this, I have to do a better job of taking care of this aspect and taking care of this aspect. And so unintentionally, it has all these positive downstream effects that by you doing that, you are truly, and not to sound too kitschy and cliche, you are truly changing those people's lives for the better.
Which is kind of why I wanted to do this.
Yeah, man. And that's the value that you could convey to them intentionally, unintentionally. And and then you're so good at it, like making it fun and adding the drawing and stuff and everything. And it's that one or two, curmudgeon-y, and as you said, you can't make everybody happy all the time. Yeah. They have a problem with it. But and that's the step in. Be less of an asshole. Be less of an asshole. What a great opportunity to have a conversation with this person and find out where they're coming from and hear what they have to say. Yeah. Because, hey, the benefit then is here's a person that maybe the whole rest of their day, they never felt that anybody hears them or sees them. And if I could provide that for them, cool. What a great service I unintentionally provided. In my head, I'm thinking, you are such a fucking asshole. But we're working on it. We're working on it.
There's none of those at Fairwinds. I think we've weeded it down nicely. There's no one that gives me that initial response anymore.
That's good, right? Well, because I laughed.
No. Yeah.
I was the one of one. So I realized last week that we used to do our gratitude, and we didn't do it. We forgot.
Yeah, I like it. That's an old one. I want to keep going. The gratitude.
Yeah. Instead of and remember, for those new listeners out there, and for those who had forgotten, it was our inverse of Spiel and Doug, right? Is his name Doug? It was their pet peeve of the week. It was our gratitude of the week.
So, gives more a reason to look for positive and happy things.
Yeah, totally. So you want to re-implement it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. You want to go first? You want me to go? I threw this on you. What's up?
No, go ahead. You go first. Go
ahead. So there's a guy in our class. There's a guy in my cohort at St. John's who he's difficult as a student. And one of the tenets of the St. John's pedagogical or teaching style is there's a professor who runs the class, but they're called a tutor, and they are not in the class to teach. They are truly there to facilitate didactic and dialectic, meaning like back and forth conversation between the students in the conversation with the text. And so everybody reads the text, and everybody questions the text, and everybody brings to bear their interpretation of what they've read and the conversation as it develops and unfolds. So it can get tough because sometimes this stuff's really hard and it's confusing. And so sometimes questions are like, I just don't understand what the hell they're saying here, the other saying, and then other times they're more kind of like, not even existential, but just more like how this makes you think about what you're thinking about and stuff. And so it ebbs and flows. This guy is a nightmare. He's just, I'm sure he's a nice enough guy, but his questions are, he is the quintessential not open to the possibility of other ideas. He is like, what he thinks is what he thinks, and he can't understand why the text won't be the way he thinks it should be. And so everything is quite, and he derailed. Like, we were having an amazing conversation last night about Plato's Republic, and it was awesome. And he just completely derailed it. And then, so the tutor doesn't step in because that's not her job. And so it's really left to us to kind of self-regulate. And he did this the last week. He's done it the week before. And we'd all kind of been like, man, I really hope he doesn't do this again. But he did. And so people in the cohort, and I had to shut down. Like, I just had to pull my glasses down on my nose. And I just said, all right, let's see where this goes. And people did a really good job of trying to read it, but he's like, I'll just and he just keeps going and going and going. And I had this moment of he basically was functioning without even knowing it as if he was a character in Plato's Republic. Like, he was that annoying character that Plato writes as the foil to Socrates. And he was giving all of us, mainly my other peers or colleagues in the class, not me, because I just wanted to tell him to shut the fuck up. Giving them the opportunity to function as Socrates does in the dialogues, to constantly have to think of another way of answering him or asking him a question or bringing up a different point or coming at something from a different direction, because he just refused to recognize or acknowledge that what he was saying was not just wrong, but just
right off.
Well, he just wasn't willing. He just was not willing to entertain the possibility of the thing we were talking about.
Right.
And I was like, and by the end, it's not that he shut down. I think maybe there was a moment where he was like, oh, maybe this, I don't know, because he just kind of shut up, but his body language wasn't really as usually he's like,
yeah.
And so I was like, holy shit, that was really cool. And I was so grateful for one of my other classmates who got the ball rolling, and then another one who like did a really great job. But I was actually kind of grateful for him. Cool. And then I was mostly grateful for just the structure that St. John's has facilitated and the patience of the tutor to not jump in, because she shuts that down one time. She loses her patience one time. She undermines the whole structure of the system, right? Because now we're all looking to her to fix it the next time. And so like, and she undermines it for every other class that happens, you know, because then we go in and it's like, well, yeah, but sometimes the tutor, if it gets too bad, they will step in. But she didn't. And I was just like, this is amazing. Like, it was absolutely amazing. Dude, so uncomfortable.
I bet.
I was like, it's 2 hours long. The class is 2 hours long. And I'm like, we're like 20 minutes into it. And he's just, I'm like, oh my God, we got to put up with this for 2 hours.
I wonder if he's a plant. Like, I wonder if he's totally a plant. I wonder if it's
he's not.
Oh man.
But anyway, so that's like, and I jokingly said of like, be less of an asshole. It really is. It's I mean, that's sort of the, just be nicer. Like, just be willing to recognize, like, this makes me very uncomfortable. Why does this make me very uncomfortable? Because I don't know how to fix it. Well, why do I think I need to be able to fix it? Because that's how I feel that I get validation of worth. Mm-hmm. Well, what if that's not the only way? What if you just get to be someone who listens? What if you just get to be somebody who says, I don't know? And maybe your whole purpose is just to be here. And then everything, I had no requirement to fix anything. Yeah. And then I actually heard something. I was like, oh, I'm actually really intrigued by what, Miss Umpty Squad over here says, and blah, 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 blah. And so, it was a very, it's a hell of a program. But last night specifically, I was like, that was really cool. Yeah. So anyway, that's my gratitude. Very long. Sorry, that was 3.5 minutes.
That's good.
So, yeah.
I'm glad that you think 3.5 minutes is really long.
Snappy. So these are when we first started about 2 or 3 weeks ago in the another section or another class related to this one with Plato, but it's the tutorial. Our questions, you all go around the room and pose a question you have for that week, and then the tutor can like take some of them, or she brings one, or he brings one, or whatever. We had devolved into each of us taking like 3 or 4 minutes to ask our question, and there's 11 people in the class. That's 45 minutes of a 1 hour and 15-minute class.
That's a lot.
So yeah, so after the last time that, she goes, we've gotten into the habit of the question saying, let's see if next week we can make them a little bit snappier. And I was like, oh, I like that. That was really good. So we've all gotten better at being very snappy with our questions.
That's good. I think Megan's told me that before when she's heard me on like group calls with like Affiliate U and stuff. She goes, you need to be a little bit more concise in what it is you're trying to say.
But so that's snappier. Is that right? Like, yeah. I appreciate where she's coming from. And I totally agree. I'm working on it. But that snappy, it's like, it reminds me of Amy. I mean, maybe Miss Amy a little bit.
Yes.
Something, I feel like something she would say. This is a snappy warm up.
That's totally an Amy one.
Yeah.
I'll keep mine simple. Mine is I was at the gym. Juliana and Ariel, they're kind of like my party planning committee going into co-commissioner, king of the captains. talent relations, like
That's a lot of alliteration, bud. I love it.
they're so, I mean, they're so good. Like they're just so on it, and they're like, they make it so much easier from my end to where I feel like, can I do something else? But they're so on point and just there's so much, and they're making it so much fun. And I appreciate how much they just kind of roll with me as we talked about last week. I'm kind of trying to figure this out as I go. Like this is a new, this new system that we're using and for the open. And then, we've added on, Juliana's she did CrossFit Open Bingo, which people are kind of into. And so there's a nice little pot for someone to win with the Open Bingo. And they really, I think it was a couple years ago before Everett was born too. You and I were talking, I was like, I want someone else. I was doing the open stuff, but I wanted someone else to kind of like take the reins of the not organizational, but almost like ceremonial part of the open and take some of that off.
Yeah.
And these two definitely like do that they did it with the holiday party, and they're doing it with the open to where it's just like, this is what I want it to be, because I can only put so much of myself into it, even less now than a couple of years ago. And so in short, Ariel and Juliana, they are my gratitude for this week and probably over the next month. So they'll be like in continuance, and I'll make sure to add some other on there. So if you see them, give them a high five. And have
you come up with a nickname for them? I mean, that's out of character for you. I'm surprised you're still calling them Juliana and Ariel.
Actually,
Juliana.
I call Juliana JV and Ariel.
But I mean like a combo nickname, right? Like the Schmarries.
That's my what is it called? For next week. That's my what did you used to call it something?
Your jar, your HR jar?
My action item. That's my action item.
Oh, your due out. It's your due out. Your Beano.
There we go.
Yeah. Beano Liberty to this shit get done, boys.
There you go. So we'll have a nickname for them next week. Sounds like a plan. Write that down. Cool.
Yeah, you can tell me to go F myself, so.
No, I want to ask you to
we are embarking on a new friendship or a new relationship that is unbound by utility or pleasure. It is in the vein of, these are the three types of friendship that Aristotle outlines: utility, pleasure, and then like a true virtuous friendship. And so utility, you get something out of it, I get something out of it, right? Like pleasure, it is pleasurable for you, it is pleasurable for me. Those are limited. At some point, the utility, they have and will most likely end, because at some point the perception of the utility has become unequitable, and the reciprocity no longer exists. Whereas a virtuous friendship between two people of virtue, I need nothing and want nothing from you. You need nothing and want nothing from me. I am solely in the friendship in order to provide you the greatest good and the greatest happiness. And so if in that I see you getting that, then that's enough for me, and I need nothing else. And so it is the type of friendship that will endure, but it's also the most rare. And most of us don't have those. And this is what I'm going to write about. I got to write a paper for the end of next month or the beginning of next month. But the language describing them is all transactional, but it's only because of the shortcoming of our language that the metaphor of a transaction fits with the other two.
Right.
But it falls short with the virtuous friendship, but we don't have any other language to convey it. And so in the end, it is not a friendship of transaction, but that's the only way that we can kind of explain it. But in the experience of it, it truly is an action in of itself. And so that is what makes it virtuous.
That's deep.
Yeah, man, it's good shit. This is right. Like this is fun.
Let's keep this up. I like tying this sort of stuff into every day.
I got to read it anyway. We're reading. We finished Aristotle last night in that class, so now we're reading We're moving to Thomas Aquinas. Tomas Aquinas.
Well, let me know when you get back to Socrates Johnson.
Dust, wind, dude. Dude, that's right, dude. What a great scene.
It's so good. It's so good.
That's a great movie. I'm going to rewatch that.
Yeah, that one's man, good stuff. Awesome. Well, excellent.
All right.
Cool. Thanks, brother.
Yeah, man. That was fun.
Have a great week.